This is Investment Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Daily live streaming interactive. Featuring Mrs. Backup. Subscribe, hit the notification, smash the likes. Now, here's Backup Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to Investment Perspectives, everybody. I'm Brad Kimes. You can follow me on Twitter at Backup Bradley, and everything we're talking about here on my profile there at the top of the screen. Okay, so just a short time ago, the U.S. Senate committee for the second round of Christopher Giancarlo on the digital dollar and the digital dollar project just has wrapped up, and I wanted to give you some clips from this that are pretty great clips. So let me go ahead and roll some of these on the time markers we have here and let you guys let you guys hear what they talked about today. Here we go.
We will proceed in the order I introduced you. So Mr. Giancarlo, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chairman Crapo, Ranking Member Brown, and members of the committee. I'm Chris Giancarlo. I was last before you 2 years ago as CFTC chairman. The subject then was Bitcoin. And I urged respect for a new generation's interest in virtual currency innovation with a thoughtful and balanced policy response. Well, today I'm before you to talk about something that is perhaps more important, and that is upgrading our own national currency, the US dollar, into a digital instrument for generations to come. I begin with 3 observations from my time in public service. First, we know that much of America's physical infrastructure, its bridges, tunnels, airports, and mass transit systems, have been allowed to age, deteriorate, and in some cases become obsolete. Well, sadly, the same is true about much of our financial infrastructure. Systems for payment and settlement, shareholder and proxy voting, and investor access and disclosure that were global models in the 20th century are falling behind the times in the 21st. And nothing reveals the limits of our existing financial system more starkly than the federal response to COVID-19, with tens of millions of Americans having to wait a month or more to receive release payments by paper check. My second observation is that we're entering a new era when things of value, such as contracts, stock certificates, land records, and cultural assets like art and music, will be stored, managed, and moved around instantaneously from person to person. They will move without central validators, but through collaborative cryptography and a decentralized network of computational algorithms. It will make sending money as easy and cost-free as sending a photograph. My third observation is that by acting now, we can harness this wave of innovation for greater financial inclusion, capital and operational efficiency, and economic growth for generations to come. The Digital Dollar Project is a not-for-profit effort to encourage public discussion on the potential advantages of a U.S. central bank digital currency, or CBDC as it is known. The project's recent white paper proposes a new additional form of money, a tokenized digital bearer instrument. It would have the same legal status as the dollars in one's purse, but on a mobile device, and would operate alongside existing forms of money distributed through the existing 2-tiered banking system, and potentially be recorded on distributed ledger technology. This type of CBDC would increase financial inclusion by broadening access to services through digital wallets on smartphones. It would enable the sending of COVID relief immediately to underbanked populations and expand their ability to access financial services. Yet this type of digital dollar is about more than financial inclusion. It is about basic financial architecture. Today, most of the world's tradable commodities, benchmarks, and contracts are priced in US dollars. Tomorrow, they will be digitized, tokenized, and coupled with smart contracts. They're unlikely to be still priced and accounted for in US dollars if the dollar remains an exclusively analog instrument. We must future-proof the dollar today for a digital tomorrow. Doing so is in the national interest. It will spark creative new industries, jobs, and economic growth. Yet it is undoubtedly an enormous undertaking. It must be done carefully, thoughtfully, and deliberately. Something that is worthy of the dollar's global importance cannot be rushed. It will take time to get right. But now is the time to get started. The recent launch of SpaceX reminds us that America explored outer space and the lunar surface through a series of pilot programs, known as Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo. So too should the U.S. explore a digital dollar in a series of well-conceived pilot programs. A team of fine researchers at the Federal Reserve are already thinking about a U.S. CBDC. The next step should be a series of pilot programs driven by the Federal Reserve and the Treasury that draw upon the innovativeness of the private sector to test various designs, technologies, and protocols. Throughout modern history, the U.S. has been a leader in innovation, whether launching the space program or building the internet. It incorporated America's core values of the rule of law, individual liberty, free enterprise, and the right to privacy. The world is asking what role America will play in the future of money. The choice is either we take a leadership role or we accept that others will lead and that their values will be enshrined in this new technology. I say we choose to lead. And if we do, we will increase financial inclusion, enhance democratic values, and future-proof the dollar for generations to come. Thank you.
Remarkable comments there. Christopher Giancarlo is equating the launch of a CBDC and the digital dollar project to the moon landing and the birth of the internet. This is not a small undertaking, and it points to the enormity of the transformation that I believe we are about to go through. Okay, now the next clip we're going to hear is from Charles Cascarillo from Paxos. It's about a 2-minute clip, or maybe 3 minutes. So let's hear this, and then I'm going to take you to another segment as well.
Thank you, Mr. Giancarlo. Mr. Cascarilla.
Thank you. Chairman Crapo, Ranking Member Brown, and committee members, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I'm Charles Cascarella, the CEO and co-founder of Paxos. I've spent my career in financial services as an analyst, investor, and entrepreneur, and experienced the shortcomings and systemic risks of our financial market infrastructure. I started Paxos to modernize this infrastructure and create a new, open financial system for everyone, built for the 24/7 digital age where money and assets can be transferred instantly, efficiently, and fairly. In 2015, we became the first trust company approved by the New York Department of Financial Services to manage crypto and blockchain assets, meeting the same standards as banks and other financial institutions. We believe stablecoins and a CBDC are imperative to our financial infrastructure and maintaining our leading economic position. Today, I'll discuss the problems we're solving, how our stablecoins are designed, and how CBDCs should be approached. Stablecoins address the antiquated plumbing of our financial system and update it for today's world, where commerce happens in real time. We can no longer rely on a system that's available for a few hours, 5 days a week, with long delays. We see 3 urgent areas for pursuing a digital dollar. First, financial inclusion. Stablecoins can provide equal access to financial services. Currently, money creates an unnatural digital divide. Physical cash is accessible to everyone, but electronic payments are limited to those with bank accounts. There are 63 million unbanked and underbanked American adults. Why reinforce disadvantage when we can support full participation in the digital economy? Blockchain-based stablecoins allow everyone access, just like physical cash, so people can avoid high account and overdraft fees, check cashing, and cross-border remittance fees. Second, capital mobilization and cost reductions. Stablecoins bring cost savings and speed to everyone, from the biggest financial institutions to the smallest consumers. Time between trade and payment ties up trillions of dollars of capital. This contributes to the financial services industry now consuming roughly 8% of current GDP, compared to 4% historically. Blockchain allows dramatic efficiencies and unlocking of capital for more productive uses. Thirdly, technology-enabled transparency and competition. Digitizing dollars reduces the gap between consumers and the Federal Reserve, enabling transparency, real-time risk monitoring, and reductions in systemic risk from centralized intermediaries. As a result, improved competition benefits customers by driving innovation in financial products. Now I'll share how Paxos designed 3 of the top 6 stablecoins in the world. First, on technology. Blockchain is just a database. Whereas other databases are updated by one central administrator, blockchain allows for a shared, verifiable, more secure, and distributed ledger. Anyone with a smartphone or the internet can access our stablecoins. Transactions are peer-to-peer, instant, 24/7, and cost just a few cents. Second, on regulation. Uniquely, both Paxos Trust Company and our stablecoins are regulated. our stablecoin reserves are fully segregated and fully backed by Treasury bills and equivalents, minimizing risk. Third-party auditors publicly review our reserves monthly. Importantly, our stablecoins are not competitive to the dollar. They simply represent dollars already in circulation. Lastly, privacy and accountability. Our stablecoins are anonymous like cash, but transactions are publicly viewable. This allows individuals to transact freely and privately while maintaining verifiable audit trails. All customers go through a full AML KYC analysis at both the on-ramp and off-ramp. So how can we move forward? A central bank digital currency is a fiat stablecoin issued by the central bank or treasury. A dollar with stablecoin characteristics is a powerful mechanism to drive innovation in the financial system. It's important for this committee to deliberate over the impacts of key design decisions regarding privacy and anonymity, such as how much of the details of private transactions are disclosed and to whom. Likewise, there are questions about the level of openness and access. Should only banks have the ability to interact with the Fed to distribute a stablecoin? Or could other institutions, payment companies, or even consumers? Would consumers and businesses be able to make peer-to-peer transactions like they can with physical cash? Reaffirming the values of free markets, private property, privacy, and freedom of speech are instrumental in growing the American economy. A well-constructed U.S. CBDC will support our preeminent economic position and the dollar's reserve currency status. Ultimately, the best mechanism to answer these design questions is safe experimentation. The right regulatory policy would be analogous to what we did with the internet, enable innovators to experiment and iterate with different implementations within a flexible regulatory framework. At Paxos, we are modernizing the financial system so all Americans have equal access. A CBDC would upgrade our financial infrastructure, increase inclusion, and reinforce our values in the position of the dollar. Thank you.
Okay, let's stop right there for a second. And basically, he is laying out, Charles Cascarilla is just laying out what they do, the fact that they're regulated, and the fact that you have Chris Giancarlo there from the Digital Dollar Project who wants to do for the U.S. dollar, specifically directly related to the government, what Charles Cascarilla is already doing privately as Paxos, a company. The other thing I called out of this was the need and the call to action for a regulatory sandbox, or at least some sort of framework that would allow them to continue to be innovative without the threat of being prosecuted or pursued based on them trying to pursue a digital dollar or stablecoin in the industry. So let me move now to another clip here. And this will be at, I believe, 30 minutes. All right, let's start right here. This will be Chris Giancarlo again.
Actions and how we proceed in the United States on the U.S. dollar. Let me start with you, Mr. Giancarlo. Are other central banks in the world developing CBDCs?
Yes, indeed, at a really remarkably fast rate. The Bank for International Settlements did a survey, I think it was in 2018, that identified the majority of central banks around the world are looking into CBDC, and some of them are quite advanced. Sweden, for example, its Riksbank, its state central bank, is embarking upon a cashless program using a central bank digital currency, but most of the world's major central banks have advanced efforts in looking into this.
And this question is for any of you, but please answer quickly because I got a lot of questions. But is the fact that other central banks are developing CBDCs, and let's take, for example, the People's Bank of China, it's one of those that is very far down the road, I understand. Is that a threat to the dominance of the U.S. dollar in global currency?
Listen here.
Anybody got an opinion on that?
I'll jump in, Senator. The dollar's strength in international world as a reserve currency is built on many pillars, and many of those pillars are quite durable and are not going to be undermined anytime soon. Nevertheless, the Chinese efforts and some other efforts are directly targeting some of those pillars.
This is what you call doing the dance.
The U.S. dollar's dominance is based upon an accounts-based global banking system. The move toward a digital yuan by China is meant to bypass the accounts-based system and allow for direct payments. Coupled with their Belt and Road Initiative and a free trade zone in the East that they are talking about, that is going to have an impact on a number of dollars' strengths in the global market. And then finally, there's the issue that most of the world's major commodities are priced in dollars, major commodities, contracts, and benchmarks. And as they all themselves move to a digital programmable format, I believe it's vitally important that the dollar also itself become programmable and digital in order to interact with those commodities. Otherwise, other countries' digital money will be able to interact with them. But I'll leave time for others to pipe in.
All right, he just talked about everything being digitized and tokenized in other markets. It's pretty remarkable. So this is incredible. I have this entire thing. I'm going to go through this again. I have time markers and create little mini videos for all of us to share so we can get the highlights of this conference today. I believe it was overall hugely positive that Chris Giancarlo and Charles Cascarillo from Paxos were able to attend this and share what they're working on and what their perspective was. There is a call to action that is continuing for the OCC to put together a regulatory sandbox throughout this thing, and I will provide some other clips that do touch on that and other things as well. For right now, I'm going to wrap it right there. Guys, hit the like and subscribe. Things are going on all the time. Head on a swivel. This is crypto. You never know. Share with somebody you know. We'll see you on the next one.